Understand. So, hello everyone. It's really nice to be here. I hope you can all hear me now. That's great. Rob, I do not have control of my slides at this moment, but you can do it for me. I'm alright with that. Um, That's great. So this is for the whole presentation is for teachers who want to go to EAP, and by EAP I will mean pre-sessional courses that are either taught in universities located in the United Kingdom or universities that run outside the United Kingdom, but they are administered by universities from the United Kingdom. So they might have a unit or a department, for example, in China, but this is not a Chinese university. This could still be University of Manchester, for example. The first thing we need to consider before thinking of where to go, what to do, should I do EAP, should I not do EAP, is what is the difference between EAP, English for Academic Purposes, and EFL, English as a Foreign Language. And there are four things there for us to consider. The first one is language versus skills. In an EFL context, private, let's say, language school, what you care is for the students to be, to go up a level or two or maybe more and have a better linguistic performance. In an EAP setting, we don't really care about their linguistic abilities per se. We of course care about them because we want them to use English correctly, but most of all and above all we care about them getting the skills right, being able to do the job, being able to write academic papers, being able to read academic papers, being able to listen and understand academic lectures, and so on and so forth. The second thing to consider is a difference when it comes to learner-centeredness and teacher-centeredness. In EFL context, classes are more learner-centered, whereas inevitably, when we go to EAP contexts, there we have very teacher-centered classes, maybe lecture theatres or these kind of settings. Third difference, emergent language and prescription. I think that Madison Scott Thornbury would be very glad to see emergent language used here. In EFL context, basically what we do is we have the learners in front of us, and we need to see what happens, what's their level, what are their needs, and adapt continuously. Whereas in an EAP context, you don't have the time, you have a prescribed syllabus and you have to follow it. Clearly defined shape versus response to workload. Well, in an EFL context, again, what you get is the chance to go for PPP, TBL, or whatever shape of a lesson you want with a beginning, a middle, and an end. Whereas when you go and you do EAPs, you cannot do that. You have everyday lesson, so today you can do what you didn't do the other day. If we move on to the next slide, we will see an ad from, I think it's University of Nottingham, if I'm not mistaken, which was published yesterday. And what we see is a difference between subject-specific or general academic English. So there might be a job and a university that wants you to do a little bit of general academic English, whereas there might be another that wants you for specific programs. This is very important for you to remember, because you might not like maths, you might not like, business. So if you don't, you should not apply really. Another one, next slide. So who are the EAP students? They're international in origin. Now, let's just say that most of them will be Chinese, because that's the new market for British universities. They're all adults. They're low intermediate to beginners. You will not find anything above low intermediate most of the times. Of course, there are exceptions, and they're about to pursue a BA, an MA, or even a PhD. So these are educated adults, and they have a good educational background. Now, the next slide talks about who are the EAP teachers now. So these are people who hold advanced qualifications, MAs at Cambridge Delta. I forgot to write about the Trinity Diploma, of course, or equivalent teacher training qualifications. They have a deep knowledge of higher education institutions. Probably they have studied in UK higher education institutions. They are competent in writing instructors. You know, writing is the core of an EAP course, so they need to be very much up to their toes when it comes to teaching writing. They must be international in origin, because these are the first people the new international students will see, and they don't want to see, you know, only English, or what stereotypically they expect English to be anyway, but we want them to be international. They have to work in very big teams. Usually in the university I work for, we are 65 EAP tutors, so that's a lot. And we have large classes. Sometimes we lecture to 40, sometimes we lecture to 100 students, depending on the needs, depending on the day, and depending on what's going on. The next slide, please. Thank you very much for doing this, Rob. So this is a list of aims and objectives. This is not obviously to go through now, but I guess you will have access later, or you can take a screenshot. This is from the University of Manchester, the University Language Centre, and it will give you an overview of what is that by the end of the course, your students, with your help, need to achieve, and what you need to do to help them achieve that. So if you don't feel very comfortable with doing one of these things, then I guess this job might not suit you. Following that, we have, all right, the working environment obviously is a university campus most of the times, beautiful campus, facilities, libraries. We have sharing staff rooms. This is why we have to be good team players. We teach in lecture halls, or we might teach in tutorial rooms for one-to-one tutorials probably, or again, depending on the needs. But the working environment, what I want to say, is a great environment, very refreshing and very motivating to wake up in the morning and go and teach. In the next slide, we will see, that's a question, to EAP or not to EAP. Things to consider: money. Well, it's a very well paid job. By very well, I compare this to a private language school. I don't compare it to being a lawyer, obviously. It involves traveling. If you don't live in the UK, you live in another country, this is a great excuse to say, all right, I'm going to spend my summer in Manchester. I'm going to spend my summer, I don't know, in sunny Brighton. Accommodation, usually EAP tutors stay in the halls with the students, or the university might have arranged for a hall only for tutors, but again, there is a lot of sharing there, some of the facilities. Teaching focus, well, you're in another country, you work 8 hours per day, the only thing you're going to be doing is teaching and then correcting. There is a lot of correcting and feedback in EAPs. And as for the career, well, it's one thing to have in your CV, I worked in this private language school, and another to say I worked at the university of whatever. So there is a lot of prestige involved, and I think I have one more slide. No, I don't remember. Yes, so Jobs AC UK is where you can go and browse all the different ads. Now is the time for you to apply. All the ads are there now. If you're not qualified, go and do a training course, it's LSI, Delta, and MA. Contact other EAP professionals to ask and exchange ideas and say, should I do it? What's your opinion? What happened? And go and apply for the job. do it and see if you like it. It's a great opportunity for all English language teachers, I think, and it will give you a different perspective, and it will enhance, make you a more developed teacher. I think I'm done. All right, so these are a little bit 3 books. If someone is interested, you can go for them. Any questions you have, you can send me an email. You can contact me. I'm wherever you want. Facebook, Twitter, emails, whatever. So thank you very much for all these. I'm very sorry